Hey, hey, welcome back. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on in. Sag, this doesn't feel like the right deck. Let me go over here. So, Saggies, I wanted to take a look at what is the life or life path that Sag is supposed to have. Now, this is, of course, still depending upon what Sag wants to create for themselves, what they want to say yes to. Our characters always have all of their own free will and their own decisions to make, right? But if our Sag were to take the steps that they're currently on, what might they be, like manifesting for themselves? What are they supposed to be manifesting for themselves? Meaning the good stuff that they're entitled to, they deserving of. And it says a deeper sense of inner self knowledge, listening to their own innermost guidance system. I feel like this Sag could be very special. They may be a wounded healer. They may have an incredibly powerful ability to either help others in like feeling or healing from things. They may have a profound gift that they are tapping into. This could be a character who could be like a natural mystic or a natural shaman or somebody who actually is like more philosophical in nature. And this could be something that if Sag taps more into that, with each passing year, they could be a very young individual, but they could be a very old soul. And that is like the more Sag leans into their old soul internal knowledge of who they are and what they know to be true and what they gravitate toward naturally, the more I think Sag is destined to either find that partnership, that lifestyle. I do feel like Sag is supposed to be very happily married to somebody that like really truly is a good match for Sag. Qualities that are deeply complementary to one another. This looks like, yes, it is taking time, but Saggy's life path, they have a good long life. This Sag has many, many, many good years to continuously like work on things that they care about in their world. But in particular, we have like a magnum opus for our Sag. And one step at a time, one domino at a time. This is a Sag who will keep laying out their life and will continue to work toward kind of some bigger ultimate goals. This could be, I mean, something that Sag wants to do that could be really life changing. This could be an innermost knowledge that I have a gift, I have a talent, I have a patent, I have something that I need to contribute to this world. But I think that I'd like to spend some time developing a personal connection. I almost feel like Saggy's life partner is going to be instrumental in helping them to further achieve this goal. This could be a business startup or something like that. But when Sag pairs or partners with the right partnership, that could really just like escalate the achievement of some huge goal. Sag has They're going to have a very very happy life full of successes. Things are going to start falling into place for this Sag. The more they gravitate toward what is true for them, their innermost I'll say guidance system. I think a Sag knows where their talents are. And I think Sag knows that they have like a gift to share with the world or a business that they want to begin. I think Sag knows themselves quite well. And the more they lean into that and acknowledge, look, it doesn't, not everybody will have the same confidence in their own like knowledge of where they belong, but I don't have to doubt that. I know my place in this universe. I know I have something to contribute. I always say this. I'm, of course, a fictional storyteller, right? I'm not a psychic. I wish I had that gift, but I don't. I'm a damn good storyteller. And we tell stories. Humans have always done that because it's inspirational, it's entertaining. But one thing that I will say, even within my fictional stories, this I will say that I truly do believe as a real living breathing human. I think all of us are supposed to be here in this timeline. I think every single one of us has something to contribute to this collective, this timeline. That's why we're all on this earth together at the same point in time. And I truly do believe that. And I would just say that that real belief of my own is seeping into this story a little bit, in the sense that I think this is the same way that our character is reflecting and saying, I'm supposed to be here. I know that inherently, deeply, I know that I have something to contribute. But I also have a partnership in this lifetime that I'm going to do great things with. This is such a positive reinforcement. This is like that deep inner knowledge is, but I belong here. I'm supposed to do these beautiful things with my life's energy. And I have a partnership. I know that I do. It's as true as breathing for this character, even though, of course, this is still fiction. But I love the fact that we have a character that is not doubting that. I think this Sag might have reached a point where they're like, why did I sometimes act like I wasn't sure about things in my life? I've always known. I've always had an internal guidance system. I've always known my life was going to keep progressing. I Even if I've had lots of, trials and tribulations where I've had to continuously work really hard, you know what? I embrace that now. This is my life's work. My life's work is to keep trudging down the path that is leading me to a life of success. And I'm doing the things I was put here to do. The talents that I personally possess, I'm supposed to keep developing those talents. I kind of think this is a big turning point for our Sag. Any doubts they have about their worth or about what path they're supposed to take or how easy or how hard life is supposed to be, the Sag is just like, life is going to have setbacks, just like everything has seasons, but the world keeps turning. Same thing. My life purpose, the goals that I've set for myself, even if I encounter some, maybe let's use an example here. Let's say that Sag has known, and this Sag could be somewhere in like the middle of their life, and they're just now having this total clarity here. They could have said, look, when I was like a kid, I knew what I wanted to do for a living. Let's use something, since we have this magical lamp. Let's say Sag said, I wanted to become a magician when I was a kid. And then I grew up and, I took on jobs that were very far away from that. I became an accountant. However, I still, in the back of my mind, I've always still liked that concept of being a magician. And in fact, I've always still gravitated toward things like that. I've always still practiced some of that. I've always, little by little, I've always still picked up little books here and there of great magicians' tricks. And I've always kept looking for the mystical, the magical. I've always kept like learning how to work with, the skill sets. But now I'm fully embracing the fact that maybe at certain points in our life, we know what we want to do, but then we have to take a detour and we do other things in life. And then we come back around and guess what? We're still interested in the same things that we always were. Everything, just like the seasons of the earth, the earth goes through times where, we go into winter and everything goes dormant for a while and it's a time of rest. And then, springtime comes back again and we're renewed. And if you look at plants, you can see that I'll use my grapes as a good example. Yeah, grapes planted and grapes look dead during the winter, right? It's just sticks. And then you see how much root system they put down the next year. And it's like, wow, they really took off. This is huge. It's like things are still happening even during the dormant time. And then we come back and we have all of this growth. And I feel like that's how I think this is how Sagi's life has been, and they're realizing this. I've never not been on my path. There have been times where it's appeared that there were obstacles, or I had to take a detour and I had to go work on other things. But ultimately, my bigger life goals, I've always actually still been aware of what my life was going to take shape as. It doesn't mean my life has been drama-free or obstacle-free, not at all. And it doesn't mean that it will be from here on out, but it does mean I have a new sense of confidence that I am truly on the right path. Of course, I'm going to have great love. Of course, I'm going to have great happiness. Maybe I've had a few failed relationships. Doesn't matter. They failed because they weren't my forever person. My forever person is out there, and the person that will share in this life path that I know I'm headed for. This is so exciting because this is Sag saying, I can make peace with the fact that I kind of doubted my own, knowledge for a period of time, but I don't doubt it anymore. I actually know where I'm headed. I know that I have a beautiful partnership. Tell me about that partnership. Is Sag close to finding that person? Three of Swords, the Magician, and the Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, Sag had to go through one last major heartbreak or betrayal in order to have their eyes opened to this. Sag did choose the wrong partner at one point. They did choose somebody who might have, devastated them. And I'm not saying that Sag had to. Nobody should ever have to go through hurt and pain. I'm just saying that in this story, Sag did go through that, and it marked a turning point. Sometimes out of our most devastating losses or heartbreaks, that is where we also get this incredible moment of clarity, and we go, wait a minute. I had chosen the wrong path for a little bit, or I took a detour with the wrong person. Thank God the person that just betrayed me doesn't have to be a part of my future. Honestly, they helped me get back onto my magician's path. Now I'm so glad that I decided to go with somebody who wanted to become a magician. I didn't think about it as a manifestor. I literally thought, I don't know, this card and this card made me think of like magic. And so that's the only reason I started to say maybe Sag wanted to become a magician at some point. I was just using a kind of like a kind of a rare, because I don't know too many people who've been magicians, or have chosen to become magicians. I was very interested in magic tricks when I was a kid and got a whole kit about all that stuff. But that's not like something I view as my own personal life path at all. I don't have that much interest in it. But as a kid, I remember thinking that was really cool. But I don't know why I went with that, other than here we have the magician. Sag has needed to get to the point where they got back on track with who they've always wanted to be. Their romantic partnership is absolutely out there with the 10 of Pentacles. I think Sag has almost been unable to see what kind of person would match them the best, because they had to get through a relationship they might have been pining for and loving and giving all their passion to a person who was absolutely wrong for them. And I think that's very relatable. I think we all do that at some point. And then it's like, oh my God, they were my karmic, or they were the person who I shouldn't have been pouring all of my energy into, but they made it so it was such a blockage where I couldn't see the person that would really be a great match for me. The person who's a great match for Sag could be someone who is, we'll say, here's a mime. We could have them being just as interested in things like magic and things like mime, or wearing face paint, body paint. Is that what this has to do with? Is Sag like a very artistic type, and the right person for them was always going to be somebody that also can tap into this magical side of life? Is that what this is? Because I don't think the Sag is supposed to have a run-of-the-mill life. I think that they have maybe particular like mystical powers or something. They're a natural mystic, but they also can dabble in things that are, here's like an ancient alchemist. I almost feel like Sag has this side of them that's very magical, mystical, and the partner that would match them the best is someone who would likewise lean toward, bringing the magical and mystical to life. I mean, heck, maybe they played Aladdin in a, theater production or something, or, the genie from Aladdin. It just feels like they're supposed to match with somebody who has just the same concept of amazingness, and that life is this very special, very magical thing. And so let's go ahead and, further delve into the magical realm. 10 of Wands. All of this feels like Sag has held back their inner mystic for the longest time. And this is them totally letting their inner mystic come out to play. And that is helping them gravitate toward their best life. I think that their romance, the person that they marry, and the Sag will be married. Even here, look at them. They are kicking up their feet, dancing their dance. I feel like the rest of Saggy's life and partnership with this person is going to be one of laughter and almost like childlike indulgence of the mystical realm. They could together become ghost hunters. They could together become, characters that, literally are interested in ancient alchemy and all things magical and mystical. But it just feels so, it's fun, but it's also still part of their, mature life. I just think that Sag actually has something big to contribute. This could be, maybe they're going to put together a course, to teach magic skills, or maybe they're going to put together a course to teach how to manifest, or how to remember how to have fun as adults, how to play, how to not lose creativity as adults, and how to not be ashamed that adults also want to have fun. That's so important. We all have creative minds. It just feels like Sag's purpose here, or one of their life purposes, is to create something that allows creativity to flow. And they are destined to have that partner. They're gravitating toward the partner that will share all of that with them, help them bring this to life. In this fictional story, this is very precise, but this is a Sag who deserves to have a life that is much more enjoyable and much more creative and much more, indulgent of those creative energies. Very brilliant, though, too. Let me get a final message here. We have Justice along with that 9 of Pentacles. I don't know if Sag was told for a long time that they're you're supposed to be like a dull human adult. You cannot be footloose and fancy free. You can't kick up your feet. You can't be somebody who doesn't commit to society's ideas of like, you work the 9 to 5 job, you get your 401k, I don't think this is the way Sag's life is going to go. I think Sag is much more of a free spirit. And I think that this is them breaking free and discovering that, wait a second, I can create a life and a home and a love story that is maybe unconventional. But what was so conventional before just seems like it was squashing my creativity. And I don't want to be squished into a box that I don't belong in. There's maybe not everybody could live the life that Sag can live, but Sag will make a success of it, with this, without sacrificing their creativity and sacrificing all the things that they really love. This feels like Sag is going to live a life of like what everybody loves. I'm picturing like that movie Big with Tom Hanks in it. It's like if our kid inside of us, because we're all still kids on the inside, could live our adult life and the fun things that we would do, that kind of fun-loving spirit has not been lost in Sag. Sag is a full-grown, capable adult, but they still have like this creative spirit and this joyful spirit that they did as a kid, and they're able to still believe in magic and I think that they actually have a legitimate like mysticism to them, but they're bringing that into their grown-up life now is what it looks like. And this looks like a really fun life with a really beautiful partner. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Bye.